The boxes were in my hallway, 6 of them, stacked neatly against the wall outside the master bedroom, my master bedroom, the one my late husband Vincent and I had slept in for 36 years, the one I had been the sole occupant of for the 11 years since his death. The boxes were labelled in my daughter-in-law Marguerite's careful handwriting. Kitchen, linens, Vincent's closet, nightstand. She had labelled the box that contained the contents of my own nightstand with my dead husband's first name. I had been at the grocery store. I had been gone for 53 minutes. When I had left, my bedroom had been my bedroom. When I returned, my bedroom had been packed. I stood in the hallway with my canvas tote bag. In one hand, there was a half-gallon of milk in it, and a small wedge of cheddar from the deli counter, and a bunch of bananas that were exactly 3 days from being too ripe, and I looked at the boxes for a long moment. From the master bedroom came the sound of furniture being slid across hardwood. A man's grunt. My son Theodore's voice saying, "Just push the dresser flush to the wall, babe. We'll figure out the rest of the layout tonight." Marguerite's voice answered from inside the room. "Theo, can you grab the curtain rods from the truck? I want to swap these out before bedtime." The kids' bath stuff needs to go in the closet first. The kids' bath stuff. The truck. The dresser flush to the wall. I set down the tote bag on the hallway bench Vincent had built for me in 1989. I walked, very slowly, toward the open door of the master bedroom. I stopped at the threshold. Marguerite was on her knees by the window, unrolling a length of patterned cream curtain. Theodore was at the far wall, pushing my dresser, which had been my mother's, which had been in this room since 1988, into a corner where it had never stood. My grandchildren's overnight bags were stacked on the bed I had slept in alone for 11 years. The duvet had been stripped. The pillows were on the floor. Marguerite saw me first. She smiled. The smile was wide and bright and rehearsed. "Florence, hi. I'm so glad you're back. We just thought we'd get a jump on things while you were out. Don't worry, your boxes are all labelled and ready to go down the hall." Theodore turned. He had the careful, guilty face of a 46-year-old man who had been instructed by his wife to perform a task he had agreed to without thinking, and now realized he should have thought. "Mum, hi. Mum, we were going to talk to you about it tonight after dinner." I did not move from the threshold. Theodore. "Yes, Mum?" Marguerite. "Yes, Florence. What is happening in this room?" Marguerite stood up. She brushed her hands on her jeans. She gave me the smile again, the one that had been engineered, I now understood, for exactly this conversation. "Florence, we have been thinking. Theo and I have been talking for weeks about the kids' situation. Lila and Hugo are getting too old to share, and the third bedroom is just so cramped. And you don't really need the master bedroom, you know? It's so big for just one person. We thought we could swap. You'd take the third bedroom. It's still a good size. It has the morning light you love, and the kids would split the master and the second bedroom. It just makes more sense for the family." Theo agrees. I looked at Theodore. Theodore did not look at me. Theodore. "Yes, Mom, you agree." He swallowed. "Mum, I think it makes sense. The kids need the space. You're alone in here. It's a big room for one person." I let that sentence sit in the air for a moment. Then I said, very quietly, "Theodore, how long have your family been living in my house?" He closed his eyes. "Mom." Theodore, the question. 3 years. 3 years and 4 months, sweetheart, since the September your contract fell through. You and Marguerite and the children moved into the second and third bedrooms, just for a few months, Mum, just while we get back on our feet. That was 3 years and 4 months ago. Mom. Marguerite. "Yes, Florence. How much rent have you paid me in 3 years and 4 months?" Marguerite's smile flickered. The flicker was the size of a thought she had not yet been asked to articulate. "Florence, we contribute to the household. How much rent, in dollars, have you and Theodore paid me? Total, in 3 years and 4 months." A long pause. None. None. Thank you, Marguerite. That was the answer. Florence. I am not finished. How much have I spent on groceries for the 5 of us in 3 years and 4 months? She did not answer. I answered for her. Approximately $32,000, based on my receipts, which I have kept. How much have I spent on utilities, gas, electric, water, internet for a household that was sized for 1 and is now feeding and heating and lighting 5? She did not answer. Approximately 18,000. How much have I spent on the children's needs? The tutor for Hugo's reading, Lila's gymnastics, the dental work last spring, the school clothes every August because Marguerite told me she couldn't swing it this month. She did not answer. 26,000. Total. In 3 years and 4 months, your family has cost me approximately $76,000 of household expenses, on top of the fact that you have lived here rent-free. And today, while I was at the grocery store buying the milk and the cheese that you will eat tonight, you took it upon yourselves to repackage the master bedroom, because I don't need it. Is that an accurate summary? Marguerite's face had gone the colour of wet paper. Florence, you are twisting. I am not finished, Theodore. Yes, Mum. This is my house. Yes, Mum. My name is on the deed. Your father's name was on the deed. When your father died in 2014, the house transferred to my sole ownership. You and your sister and your brother were beneficiaries on the will. Upon my death, I am not dead. Are you aware that I am not dead? Mom. Theodore, are you aware that I am not dead? Yes, Mom, I am aware. Then please explain to me how you and your wife arrived at the conclusion that the master bedroom of my house was a piece of furniture you could rearrange while I was buying bananas. Theodore put his hand over his eyes. Marguerite said, very quickly, Florence, listen, we did not mean for it to come across this way. We can put everything back. We can absolutely put everything back. We can talk about it tonight at dinner like a family. Marguerite, take your hands off my curtain rods, put down the curtain, step away from the window. Theodore, push my dresser back to where it was, both of you. Now. They stared at me. Now. They moved. Marguerite set the curtain on the bed. Theodore pushed the dresser slowly back across the hardwood, the legs scraping a faint, pale arc into the wood that I knew already, never fully sand out. I walked into my bedroom. I picked up my own pillows from the floor. I set them on the bed. I picked up my own duvet. I set it on the chair by the window. Then I walked out of the master bedroom, down the hallway, past the 6 boxes labelled in Marguerite's handwriting, and into my kitchen. I picked up the phone. The number I dialed was Marcus Halloran. He was the lawyer who had drafted my will after Vincent died, and he had been my advisor since. Marcus was 79 years old. He had retired from his firm in 2019, but he still answered calls from long-time clients. And he had been waiting, I now understood, for me to call him for at least 2 years. He picked up on the 3rd ring. Florence. Marcus, I would like to evict my son's family. A small pause. Then, in the same dry voice he had used at Vincent's memorial in 2014. Florence, are they currently in the house? They are. Have they paid rent? They have not. Are they on the deed? They are not. Is there a written lease? There is not. Florence. In our state, you have what is called a tenancy at sufferance. It is the weakest possible legal claim a resident can have on a property. It can be terminated with 30 days written notice. After 30 days, if they have not vacated, you can file for unlawful detainer. The eviction would be granted within 60 to 90 days. 30 days. 30 days, with the notice served by certified mail. I can draft it tonight and have it in the mail by tomorrow morning. Marcus. Yes. What about the children? The children are dependents of their parents. They go where their parents go. That is not your legal obligation. It is theirs. I closed my eyes. Marcus. Yes. Vincent told me. In 2013, the year before he died. He said, Florence, if Theodore ever moves back in, you give him 8 weeks. If he is not gone in 8 weeks, you call Marcus. I gave him 3 years and 4 months. There was a small silence on the line. Then Marcus said, very quietly, Florence. Vincent told me that too, in a different conversation. He said, Marcus, my wife is going to be too kind to Theodore. I want you to wait for her call, and when it comes, I want you not to argue with her. I have been waiting 11 years. Marcus. Yes. Draft it. Florence, I will have it in the certified mail queue by 9 a.m. tomorrow. Marcus. Yes. Make it 30 days, not 60, not 90, 30. Florence, it will be 30. I hung up. I made myself a cup of tea. The kettle whistled. I poured. I sat at my kitchen table by the window. The maple in the front yard had gone the orange it always went in late October. Vincent had planted that maple in 1985. After a few minutes, Theodore came into the kitchen. He sat across from me at the table. He had taken off his work boots. His socks did not match. Mum. Yes. Marguerite is upstairs, putting the bedroom back the way it was. Good. Mom, I want to apologize. I should never have agreed to it. I should have stopped her when she suggested it last week. Theodore. Yes. Last week. Yes. She suggested it last week. Yes. And you and she discussed it for a week. And the plan was to move all of my belongings out of my own bedroom while I was at the grocery store. And then to tell me at dinner that it was already done, and then to expect me to accept it because the work was finished. Is that the accurate summary, Theodore? He did not speak. Theodore, tell me how the conversation at dinner was supposed to go. He looked at his hands. Marguerite said you would be upset at first, but that you would come around. She said you always come around. She said the trick was to do it while you were out, because if we asked, you would say no, but if we did it and showed you it was done, you would adjust. I closed my eyes. She said you always come around. Yes, Mom. Theodore. How many times in 3 years and 4 months have I come around to something Marguerite arranged while I was out of the house? Mom. How many times, Theodore? He swallowed. A lot. Name 3. Mom. Theodore, name 3. He closed his eyes. The garage. The garage was reorganized while you were at your sister's in February. The dining room rug was replaced while you were at the dentist last June. The kitchen cabinets were repainted while you were at your bridge group last summer. And what did I do in each of those cases? You said it looked nice. You said it was fine. You came around. Yes, Theodore. I came around. Because the alternative was to make a scene in my own home that I was no longer the only adult living in. And because Marguerite is very good at framing every change as something I had implicitly agreed to. The bedroom today was simply the largest version of an experiment your wife has been running on me for 3 years and 4 months. The experiment is, how much of Florence's home can we redecorate before Florence stops coming around? Today she found the answer. He did not speak for a long moment. Then he said, very quietly, Mom, are you putting us out? I looked at him across my kitchen table. My son, 46 years old. The boy who had once climbed onto Vincent's lap during a thunderstorm in 1981 and asked his father, very seriously, whether the thunder could hear him crying. Theodore, I am giving you 30 days. The notice will arrive by certified mail later this week. I am not interested in destroying you. I am interested in returning to my own bedroom and my own kitchen and my own dining room. You and Marguerite and the children will have 30 days to find a place. I will not contribute to that place. I will not co-sign your lease. I will not pay your security deposit. You are 46 years old. You and your wife will figure it out the way every other 46-year-old couple in this state figures it out. Mom, Lila, and Hugo. Lila and Hugo will live in a smaller apartment. They will sleep in bunk beds. They will eat the same cereal in a different kitchen. They will be fine. Children are not damaged by smaller bedrooms, Theodore. They are damaged by watching their parents treat their grandmother like an obstacle to their lifestyle. He started to cry. I did not move toward him. I did not soften. I drank my tea. After a while, he wiped his face. Mum, will you let me come back to visit after we're gone? Theodore, you are still my son. You will always be my son. You will be welcome at my house once you have your own for lunch on the first Sunday of every month. Alone. Not with Marguerite. Not with the children. I will see Lila and Hugo on neutral ground, with you present, until I am confident that the version of family they have learned to perform in this house is no longer the version they perform around me. That may take a year. It may take 5. Mom, Marguerite is never going to apologize for this. Theodore, I do not need her to. I am not setting up a situation in which I require her apology. I am setting up a situation in which I do not require anything from her at all, including her presence. Mom, yes, I love you. I know, sweetheart, I love you too. That is exactly why this is the conversation we are having. He stood up. He walked to the doorway. He stopped. Mom, yes. Dad would have done this 25 months ago. I closed my eyes. Theodore, yes. That is the smartest sentence you have spoken in 3 years and 4 months. Hold on to it. You will need it when Marguerite asks you why you did not fight harder. He nodded. He left the kitchen. I drank my tea. The certified letter arrived at the house on Thursday afternoon. I was in the kitchen when Marguerite signed for it. I watched her face as she read the envelope. The envelope was addressed to Times Theodore Halloran and Marguerite Halloran, residing at. She did not open it in front of me. She walked it upstairs. 20 minutes later, she came down. Her eyes were red. Her smile was gone. Florence. Yes, you are evicting us. I am terminating a tenancy at Sufferance, Marguerite. There is a legal difference. The 30-day notice gives you the same amount of time you have given me, on average, between rearranging the rooms of my house. It is a fair number. Florence, the kids. Marguerite, sit down. She sat at my kitchen table. The same table she had been sitting at for 3 years and 4 months, eating food I had paid for, in a house she had begun to refer to in conversations with her own mother as our place. Marguerite, I want to tell you something that I want you to remember for the rest of your life. She looked at me. For 3 years and 4 months you have been running a small experiment in my house. The experiment was, how much can I move before Florence stops coming around? You ran it methodically. You did not understand that I was keeping notes. I have a folder, Marguerite, that documents every reorganization you have made in this house, every receipt, every change, every date. I did not start the folder out of suspicion. I started it because I needed somewhere to put the small confusions I felt every time I came home and found my own house slightly different. It became, by accident, the most useful thing I have ever filed. She was silent. You and I have spent 3 years and 4 months in a relationship in which I was supposed to play the part of the elderly mother-in-law who came around. And you were supposed to play the part of the busy daughter-in-law who improved things on my behalf. The performance worked because I was complicit in it. I was complicit because I did not want to be alone in this house after Vincent died. I traded my home for company. I want you to understand that I am aware of my own role in this. I am not blaming you for taking what I offered. I am, however, withdrawing the offer. She did not speak. Marguerite, there is no scenario in which you will apologize to me in a way that I can accept. I want you to know that. I am not seeking your apology. I am seeking your absence. The 30 days begins today. Use them. Find a place. The children's school does not change. The geography of your life does not have to collapse. You simply have to live in a house that is not mine. She started to cry. I did not soften. I did not move toward her. I drank my tea. After a while, she said very quietly, Florence, I am sorry. Marguerite. Yes. That apology is in the wrong order. Try again when you can put it in the right one. I stood up. I left the kitchen. I walked upstairs to my own bedroom, the master bedroom, returned to its original arrangement. The dresser back against the original wall, the duvet back on the bed, the boxes that had been labelled in Marguerite's handwriting, now stacked in the garage to be sorted later, and I closed my own bedroom door behind me. I sat on the edge of my own bed. I did not cry. I had stopped crying about Marguerite approximately 10 months earlier, when I had finally understood that the woman my son had married was, in her quiet way, a careful person. And that careful people do not cry your way into apologies they have not yet decided to give. Theodore, Marguerite, Lila, and Hugo moved out on November the 22nd, exactly 28 days after the certified letter. They left 2 days early, which I appreciated. Marguerite did not say goodbye. Lila and Hugo hugged me at the door. Lila, who was 10, whispered into my shoulder. Grandma, are you mad at me? I said. No, sweet pea. I am not mad at anyone in this house who is under 15. You are welcome at my house any Saturday for the rest of your life. You will visit me, and we will bake bread, and you will tell me what books you are reading. Do you understand? She nodded. Hugo, who was 7, hugged me without speaking. Theodore was the last out the door. He carried the final box labelled kitchen in Marguerite's handwriting, and he set it in the trunk, and then he came back up the walk and stood on my porch. Mom, Theodore. First Sunday of December, noon, lunch, alone. Yes, sweetheart. I will be there. I will believe it on December the 3rd, Theodore, not before. He nodded. He walked back to the car. They drove away. I closed the door. I locked it. I walked through my own house, every room, slowly, and I touched the walls, and the furniture, and the door frames, and the kitchen counters. I touched my mother's dresser. I touched Vincent's reading chair. I touched the small chip in the kitchen tile, where I had once dropped a saucepan in 1991, and laughed for 15 minutes because Vincent had been on the phone and could not understand what I was. Laughing about. I was alone again, for the first time in 3 years and 4 months. I did not feel alone. I felt the way a room feels when it has been emptied of someone else's furniture, and the original light comes back through the windows the way it had always been meant to. That night, I sat in the master bedroom. My master bedroom at the small writing desk Vincent had given me in 1996, and I wrote one line in the small notebook I had started keeping the morning. Marguerite labelled my nightstand with my dead husband's first name. She said I didn't need the master bedroom. I told her I didn't need roommates either. And tonight, for the first time in 3 years and 4 months, I am sleeping in the bed my husband built me, in the room he built me, in the house we built together, and the only sound in the hallway is the sound of my own footsteps coming home. Then I closed the notebook, and I lay down in my own bed, in my own room, with my own pillows in their original positions, and I slept the way a woman sleeps when she has finally evicted, not just the people who were quietly redecorating her life, but also the version of herself who had been coming around to all of it.